Welcome to the Plant-Based Podcast. Did you know that plants are truly amazing? Not only can you grow them and eat them, you can also wear them, drink them, nourish your skin with them, and so much more. Let Ellen and Michael inspire you to love plants as much as they do, as they chat with the movers and shakers in this wonderful plant-based world. So, let's dig in.
Series 12 of the Plant-Based Podcast is sponsored by People, Plants, Wellbeing. This is the place where you can find your magic through the power of plants and nature. Relax at a nature immersive retreat, wellness day, forest bathing walk, or why not contact the studio about a tailored team day for your work colleagues' wellbeing. Later in the episode, we'll be giving you an exclusive discount code for all podcast listeners, and this can be used for money off People, Plants, Wellbeing services. Find out more about nature-based wellbeing studio at peopleplantswellbeing.com or on Instagram under People, Plants, Wellbeing. So guys, we have a really exciting episode for you today, and it's all about London's second largest conservatory, and that is the Barbican Conservatory. This contains over 1,800 species of plants and trees. So we're really honoured to chat to head gardener Marta Lowcewicz today, and we're going to thank her for taking time out of her really busy day. She's actually here live from the Barbican Conservatory. I can see all of that brutalist architecture and plants behind her. And we want to find out more about this hidden oasis in the heart of London City.
We do. I have to say, first of all, Marta, welcome to the podcast. We're thrilled to be able to chat with you. But also, I think you have the best backdrop that we have seen yet on the podcast recordings.
Well, it's lovely to be with you guys here, and thank you for having me. And yes, I definitely can compete with one of the best backgrounds probably in the whole Barbican as such.
Oh. So before we talk about the icon that is the Barbican, tell us about you and your journey into horticulture up to today.
Right. Okay. So my horticulture journey starts very early. I come from a family that was always green-fingered. Mm-hmm. My grandma used to drag me around to allotments and all that stuff in the garden, always helped me out. And there was a time in my life when I had to choose my career. I decided to do the horticulture studies. I studied in Poland because I'm originally from Poland. And I obtained a master's degree in horticulture. And over the years, obviously, I moved to UK for various reasons, and I started to work my career in horticulture. And I started all the way from the bottom. I worked as a agency gardener, and worked my way up all the way to here to be head gardener in the Barbican Conservatory.
That's awesome.
How long have you been head gardener there?
Last 5 years, but in the 5 or 6 almost, but I've been in the conservatory for past 13 years.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So you must know that conservatory really well.
I do. I treat it sometimes the plants like my babies, because I know some of them are grown from the seeds by me or by my colleagues. So yeah, we treat them, or I know it pretty well. Or someone asked me, "Oh, have you had that?" Yes, we did. Oh, yes, we tried this, and it's all that. When you've been in the same place for so long, every little ins and outs of the place, or nooks and crannies of the space.
That's really cool. I'd love to know more about the history of the conservatory. And I hear that all of the soil had to be imported and all of that. If you can give us a history about it all, that would be ace.
Right, so the conservatory was built as an afterthought because when the architects designed the whole Barbican complex or Barbican Centre, they designed what is called a fly tower, so a theatre has to store the flyers somewhere, and it's like a massive concrete block in the middle of the estate. And what they decided to do is to cover these ugly monstrosity that no one actually has no purpose from the outside, with the glass roof, and that's how the conservatory came along. So it was an afterthought, hence we're on the third floor of the building, and maybe not necessarily the ideal space, but we've been here for the last 40 years. It was designed as the whole complex in the late 50s, early 60s, finished and opened to the public in 1982. So last year we had just our 40th birthday. Obviously, the soil and the plants came before, slightly earlier than it opened to the public. So from late 70s, the soil was brought in here. So it was not necessarily imported as came from the abroad. It was just brought in by the trucks and lorries and craned to the podium, and everything was in here mixed by hand in those days and filled out the beds for the plants. And obviously later on the plants came along, and it took a few years before the conservatory established, and then it was open to the public in like the whole centre in 1982. And since then we're here, and all the plants are living happily in the conservatory, hopefully.
Yeah,
That's really cool.
I love the feel of the Barbican, this post-apocalyptic vibe, you know. It's like, I know that, like, obviously around the estate has been used in lots of films, videos, but how about the conservatory? Are they filming stuff there? You must always have some cool event happening in there, right?
It is. We have various events and various filmings and various video, fashion shoots, as I said, music, filming. Some of them we have to sign the non-disclosure, basically because they go into big productions, and we cannot say anything about it because obviously there's legalities about it. But yes, we had over the years many advertisements, for example, or videos, and as I said, and sometimes it's funny because we know the space, or I know the space so well that if I travel along, even in the London Tube, I see a little bit of a rock or plant leaf, and I said, oh, that was taken in our space, because we can recognize the plants behind. So yeah, we do have a few big, I mean, last over the pandemic we had the new Star Wars series filmed in the Barbican estate. So there was quite a few of them that they were shot in the conservatory and around the estate as well.
That's really awesome. Like literally Star Wars at the Barbican. That's so cool. And at the beginning, Michael, you were saying that there was over 1,800 species of plants. Is that right? And how were they chosen? Like, how did it all become established?
So there's exactly 1,500, 300 of them will be cactuses and succulents. So when the conservatory was designed, it was decided that it's going to be a temperate glass house. So the plants that will come inside of the conservatory will come from the temperate regions of the world. So the minimum temperatures that we have in here in the winter will be 11 degrees. Obviously in the summer they shouldn't go more than 21. For last year, we know how the summer was, and it was much more hotter inside. Yeah. And over the years, obviously, we try to choose the plants that come from the temperate regions around the world. So there will be some plants that you can recognize even growing in the London or Southeast in the gardens. We have Chamandrea humilis, which is only native European palm in here, for example. But there will be far more tropical plants like ficuses, strelitzias, large willows. All those plants will be happily living together.
Mm-hmm.
How did it all become established? Like, what was the process of that happening?
So the plants over the years were collected from the various reasons, and because we have quite tight connections with City of London, we're partially funded by them still. So plants came from all sorts of sources, and originally were kept in West Ham Park nurseries before they were brought in here. But they came from plant swabs, wherever they could be bought. They were donated to us. Wherever we could have our hands on plants as such, they were brought in here. We never travel abroad to take plants out of the native habitats, but they were, as I said, they were cuttings, bigger plants, smaller plants, you name it, seeds. They were all brought in here, and all the gardeners who worked previously in the conservatory and working now are working very, very hard to enhance the collection all the time, because obviously over the years the plants grew, the conditions inside of the conservatory changed as well naturally. So the plants that we have in here, they do tend to change over the years as well.
Okay. When I was really lucky to visit a couple of weeks ago when I was just in the area, and I just I know that doesn't usually happen, but I was very, very fortunate, and I saw the most amazing plant that I couldn't bring to mind, and it turned out to be a Macaea, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And it is just looking amazing at the moment with this kind of almost like butterfly shaped pale lilac bloom.
Yes.
That seems like a real standout plant there. Is there any other kind of real gems in there, like even some of your favorites?
I mean, there's plenty of the plants, because sometimes where people come to us and they said, oh, it's just green, or they expect the place be filled up with flowers. And yes, we do have some flowers that will be standing out like Macaea, but that is, we have to remember that although we are under the roof, the plants have their natural seasonality to it. So some of the plants will flower more than others, and you happen to be here when the Macaea flowers in the early spring, but if you come back in 2-3 weeks time, there will be nothing left from it because we have to prune it. So so that's the case for it. But we, for example, have the shrimp plants, Bella Peroni guttata, which is one of the most giving and unforgiving plants that we have in here. Flowers all the time. We prune it, comebacks all the time. The one that people particularly like is obviously the Strelitzias, the birds of paradise, because that brings them the sort of the tropical look. We have Brunsfelsias, so morning, day and night they're called. So the flowers, depending, so they live 2 to 3 days, and when they open they're dark purple, and obviously once they fade the colors changes to a light blue. Over the winter months we have, for example, hippeastrums, which are quite spectacular. There's many abutilins. We've got, it's just, there's so many that it's difficult sometimes to point out which will be more spectacular. I mean, this time of the year in May we have lots of epiphyllums that will flower, so orchid cactuses. And obviously around this time of the year lots of our cactus and succulents will flower.
It's cool. Just such an incredible mix of plants, isn't it? You know, I know you said a lot are from temperate regions, but when you think about kind of all the different plants you just mentioned, it's kind of it all matches, but it's all eclectic as well, which is just so perfect for the architecture of the conservatory, isn't it?
It is, because like if you look on the map, world map, if you think about where the temperate regions come, they come from so many continents. It's from Australia, Africa, Europe, North America, South America. There could be even little pockets somewhere in the Highland Mountains that they will be temperate, and those plants will be adapted and they come together. And as you said, it's such a eclectic, and we sometimes call it a very quirky mix of plants that you would not find in a native habitat. It's not natural habitat that we try to mimic. It's just the plant collection that is just happens that the plants live happily together, but not necessarily they will be living together in nature, in the wild. It's just like we like to put them together, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really cool. And I think it totally just goes with the whole vibe of the Barbican for sure. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, you've got this amazing background behind that and we're talking all about the plants. You have the dream job, right?
I would like to think so.
I think a lot of people listening to this episode are going to be thinking that you have the dream job. And I know you've been there for a lot of years, as you just said, but did you work your way up there, or did you go straight in as head gardener? How did your career there come about?
So I did started in here as an assistant gardener. It was what I sometimes laugh, what it's supposed to be just only 2 weeks temperate position to fill up. It became almost like a lifelong dedication to the space, because I originally was employed here for a 2-week contract, and it just carried on, and I stayed for various reasons, obviously. But don't get me wrong, like any job, it has its ups and downs, and it's lovely, but it has its own problems as such. But yeah, it's not.
Of course. Yeah, absolutely.
Hello, Alan, and hello, Michael, and to you, the plant-based podcast listener. My name is Lee Connolly, the Skinny Jean Gardener, and I am a children's gardener and author. You may have seen me on CBBC Blue Peter or BBC Teach, and I am the founder of School Garden Success, which gets children learning how to grow their own along with the curriculum. And I'm going to be on here for the next few months telling you how you can get your kids gardening at home, or even if you're a teacher, at school. And this week I'm talking about grow your own. Now, grow your own for me was the way that I got into gardening, and how I got my own daughter excited about gardening as well. And I've got to say, growing your own food with the kids makes some real memories, and also gets children to know where their food comes from, which is so important. I honestly got to the age of 24 and had no idea how potatoes grew. I honestly thought they turned up on some little tree, and I wanted for my daughter and for children around the UK to learn where and how their food is grown. And you can do the same at home with your children too. The best way to do this, and I'm always asked this, is can you tell us the top 3 things to grow with children? And every child is different. You really got to be growing what you care about. When I first started growing, I grew loads and loads of onions. And I hate onions. It's the worst thing for me, right? So those onions were just put to the side and no one cared about them. The same with children. If they don't care about that plant, if they're not bothered about what actually grows from it, and they're not going to eat it, then they're not going to care about it. So my biggest thing is grow what you love to eat and what you're going to use in the kitchen. You can make a really simple mini allotment just outside your back door out of a wash and up bowl, a few holes in the bottom, some peat-free compost, and right now you can go to your garden centre and buy a tomato plant, maybe a pepper plant, maybe a little row of salad. You've got your own salad bowl sitting outside the back door for the children to look after. As a parent, the hardest thing is watching that very slowly die, because children have to learn that they've got to wake up in the morning before school, before they go and do anything, and give it a really good water. And parents, we want to try and take over, right? We want to go, we'll do it, don't worry. But responsibility is one of those things that gardening is amazing at teaching children. Responsibility and patience. So if you're going to grow your own food, get around the table, talk about what you're going to eat, maybe go to the garden centre together and start growing. Honestly, it'll be an amazing thing to bring you and the kids together.
But how does a typical day look like for you? Because when I visited there, I saw that you've got the cutest potting area I've ever seen. Because it's like, I don't know, it's just amazing and surrounded by all these like typical kind of greenhouse look, but it happens to be in a Barbican style. It's really cool. Tell us about a typical day for you.
So our day starts very early. So usually we start around 6:30 in the morning.
Really?
We are lucky to finish around 2 o'clock. So we have still some day left in our personal life. But yes, we do start 6:30. We normally start our day with cup of tea and breakfast, and then we carry on with any jobs. Usually during the summer months is the watering, so that it takes majority of the time, because all the watering is done in here by hand. We don't run around with watering can, but it has to be done with the hoses. Yeah. So there's no automatic system as such. So we water the conservatory, we water the outside areas as well that belong to the Barbican Centre. And later on, we may have a break. And obviously, the rest of the day is preoccupied with anything that you imagine a working garden has to do. So although we are inside of the enclosed space, we have a roof above our head, but we still have to weed, rake, prune, you name it. We all do it in here. It's just the type of plants is different, but the task as such don't change. Well, maybe we don't mow the lawns or trim lots of hedges, but the rest is exactly the same. We may propagate our plants because, as I said, we have a propagation area or working bench where we sow lots of our seeds or do lots of our cuttings or pot our plants, because we try to grow as many as possible. And just tasks are daily are changeable because we have so many different events and sometimes so many different requests that we have to fit it around such a busy schedule that there's no days that are the same. Or sometimes we try to think about something, or we have a schedule and then the request comes and we have to change everything.
Can I ask one question before we move on? Actually, like, you've got all the balconies with all the plants that hang down.
Yeah.
How do you maintain and prune those? Like, you reach over, or you have some big cranes?
So we have little genies that we can cherry pick that we can sometimes reach, but we normally try to reach over. If they're for the window boxes, it happens that they are too big or they need renovating, we just remove the whole plant and replace it with the new ones. But for the balconies, there are there's a footpath that you can go there on the balcony as such. It's accessible for us to maintain it and obviously water and prune and do whatever it needs to be done to them.
Very cool indeed. I mean, I visited, but such a long time ago, and I can't remember now how or what happened, if I had to book a ticket or not. I know Michael said you were really lucky to get in there a few weeks ago. Like, who can access the conservatory? Can anyone come along? And I mean, just sitting here looking at the backdrop, it's got to be an Instagrammer's dream, hasn't it?
It is. We've got lots of people that come in here simply for the Instagram photo.
Oh my gosh.
Which is lovely. Like, it's they all visitors and we treat them all the same. And yes, anyone can visit. The only thing is you have to go on the Barbican website, barbican.org.uk. There will be little tag with the conservatory, and you have to pre-book a ticket. So tickets are free of charge. You don't have to pay anything for entrance, but there's a limited capacity that we allowed, and there will be all the dates available 2 weeks in advance for the dates that will be open to the public.
Okay, because you have events there as well, right?
Yes, so you can have any events that you wish here. We cater from your birth to your wake and anything in between. So you can have your wedding, birthday party, corporate events, yoga class, you name it. You can have it in here.
Very cool.
Awesome.
Obviously, when we're at the Barbican, and you can see a lot of the public areas, and I think last time I was there, I spotted one of the private areas where you've got a lovely lawn, and obviously this is just for residents. But do you only have input into the conservatory, or do you get involved in any of the other areas on the estate?
So the areas around the estate, so we've got a little bit division. Like we've got private areas where there's two, as you mentioned, there's two lawns, or there's Thomas More and Speed House areas when they're Barbican residents' gardens and they're only accessible for the residents. But all the areas on the podium as such, so the beach gardens, they are accessible to the public because it's a public space. We only have an input where, in terms of lakeside, the outside area that belongs to the Barbican centre as such. So when you exit the Barbican and you go to the lakeside, there's a few planters that we sort of look after. Okay. But the rest is maintained by my lovely colleagues in the City Gardens, which is part of the City of London Corporation as such.
Cool.
It's really cool. So I know that something iconic about the buildings there are the integrated window boxes. And what are some of the unique plantings that you have in those window boxes around the estate?
So the window boxes are maintained by the residents, and they basically can choose whatever they like and to be planted in the window boxes. And the plants, they differ. It's like, whatever people prefer. There's lots of geraniums in those window boxes, but they do remarkably well in this particular estate. But there's I saw it. I think I saw it all because some of there's some townhouses that they have terraces, and some flats have terraces on the top, on the roof. So I saw everything from bamboo being grown, from amelanchids, birches, to your standard grasses, buddleias, anemones. Everything what you can imagine is grown by the residents in those window boxes. Tomatoes, chilies, herbs, any type of herbs, they are there. So there's
I wonder if there's pressure between the neighbours, because it is such an iconic site and the window box is an iconic part of the Barbican.
Yeah.
Is it in their contract that they have to make it look nice?
I think it used to be originally, but I don't know how the lease is now done. But lots of residents, they like to keep their window boxes green and maintained, because that's their space, and they a little bit of greenery. They like to have that outlook on the greenery, especially as I said, Barbican is such an iconic but still very concrete heavy building. So they cherish their few window boxes or the terraces that they have as such.
Yeah, it's a really shining example of what you can do in an urban environment, with that kind of very brutalist architecture, but yet it's an urban oasis, in the city. And I think that's just proof of what you really can achieve, even with a window box or a little space, so it's very inspirational.
It is. I mean, people don't think about it, but Barbican Estate as such is very biodiverse. We've got lots of insects, we've got bats living in here, peregrines, your waterfowl, bees, insects, bumblebees, foxes, you name it, they all here. And if you think about it, there's not a lot of green, but there is enough for them to sustain their living. We've got a grey heron living in our lake, obviously, which is quite an unusual sight for the city centre. But as you said, it's a prime example. If every one of us could have a one window box and one somewhere, we could help out with that sort of biodiversity trend, well, not trend, but biodiversity as such.
Yeah. Do you find that people come to you for inspiration, as in even developers or people who are, building apartments, or someone who's moved into a new apartment block? Do you think they come to you for inspiration?
We have recently have a few visits in terms of people, either architects or people that are generally involved in the plans in terms of urban environment. For example, I had a visit recently with people who deal with trees in urban environments and how they sort of behave and how they grow and things like that. So they do, but I think, is it enough? Probably not. But people generally, as people who are interested in the plants and the house plants, yes, they try to come to us and visit us and hopefully take some inspirations from what we do and what we're growing. Because like last few years, especially before pandemic, the houseplants trend grew massively. Now it's just exploded. So we can see it, that trend through our visitors. When I started in the conservatory, we had hardly 100 visitors on the opening. There was not many people around, but now there's far more people visiting and enjoying the space, obviously.
And that's really good to know. Not only are people buying their first house plant, but they're getting out there and getting inspiration as well.
But they're seeing houseplants more in the wild as well, bigger specimens.
Yeah.
I love that too.
It's lovely.
Yeah, I think they do sometimes. They are sometimes shocked where they see their humble philodendron, what it can do when let go into a bigger space, or even the monstera that everyone is going after the monstera, and suddenly they just realize, oops, maybe my flat is not big enough for this plant, because our one in here, I'm just looking on one, it's got probably 30 meters high. So they are massive monstrosities.
They are big.
So yeah, sometimes
It's been such a pleasure chatting with you, and I really want to visit again soon. Like, it's been so long, and I also saw your photographs, Michael, and I was like, oh, that's so cool. It's been really good to chat with you, about having plants in an urban environment, basically, and how you came about to be the head gardener there. And that's inspirational also for listeners if they want to, get into horticulture, because these are the kind of careers that you can have, in the industry, which is very, very cool, even though it is a 6:30 start every day.
Definitely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for spending the time with me. Thank you, Marta.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Max McMurdo, and I'm a small space designer and upcycler, I believe, are the professional terms. Basically, I make things out of rubbish and design small houses and transportation things like camper vans and caravans and boats, etc. I'm lucky enough to have featured on a couple of TV shows like Amazing Spaces and Find It, Fix It, Flog It, and most recently Tool Club, where we travelled around the country on my double-decker bus that I've converted into a workshop, teaching people how to make things DIY, bringing back some of those lovely old school techniques of woodwork and make, do and mend, I guess. I'm here now to talk about how to upcycle in the garden. Now, that sounds relatively easy to most of you. However, I should point out, I don't own a garden. I don't live in a house. I actually live in a floating shipping container. So my experience of gardening is limited, to say the least. But with living on a houseboat comes its own challenges. So outdoor spaces, and I do have a lovely decking area, how to keep those plants alive, how to create some raised beds. And I've even made myself a small greenhouse, which was basically, I called it a small greenhouse. I got a bureau from a charity shop. I took out the wooden panel on the back, replaced it with a piece of 4mm glass that was toughened and polished. And that turned it into kind of like a backlit potting bench that I could also leave plants in, because they got the natural daylight through the rear of the bureau through the glass. I've also made several planters out of pallets. I love a good pallet. They're already pre-treated, they're free, they're readily available, they're solid, and they weather beautifully. In fact, they get better with age. They lose that yellowy pineness and they become quite silvered and weathered. So yeah, lots of planters out of pallets, lots of planters out of washing machine drums, because they're stainless steel and they look beautiful and they've got natural drainage built into them. There's lots of opportunities in the garden to utilise upcycling, and in all honesty, I think those different tones and textures really add to an outdoor space. So, like letting metal go a little bit rusty, I think really, really looks lovely and adds those different tones. I think for me, I'm away a lot, I work away a lot, so I've got lots of, I call it hydroponics, it's probably just sort of self-watering. So lots of wicking of water, so lots of troughs that I can fill up with a piece of fabric. That can be an old bed sheet or something. The water comes upwards into the plants while I'm away, keeps them moist while I'm away working or whatever it might be. So just because you live in a small space or just because you don't have a big garden doesn't mean you can't enjoy nature, the great outdoors, plants, and sometimes bring those plants indoors. For me, from an interior design point of view, there's nothing better than plants in the house. We all know that biophilic design is good for mental well-being and mental health. So yeah, that's one of my ultimate top tips. Loads of natural light in any room and loads of plants where you can. So that's it from me, really. I hope that might have been slightly inspirational and given you some ideas. And good luck if you're trying to bring upcycling into your garden.
Oh, Ellen, stop worrying, honestly. Oh, she's worried that we're going to get locked in this car park.
I know, but we're in a castle grounds. It's closed.
But there's no gate. You're not going to get locked in.
But what if they don't see us here and then they lock the gate?
But there's no gate. There's
There's a gate here and there's a gate at the front.
What, that portcullis? Is that the right word?
I don't know what it's called.
You seem like someone who's been locked somewhere before.
That sounds really wrong.
I've been locked in a cafe toilet when I was 10 years old, but that's another story.
That's traumatising.
Yeah, I just couldn't move the latch. But what about you?
Did you panic?
I've been locked in. Yeah, a little bit. I think it was horrible. It was a real character building moment. Yeah.
I have been locked in a number of car parks, both in the UK
Why?
and the USA.
Did you not adhere to the signs?
Because I obviously hadn't read that they close at a certain time. And then I've got back to the car and the barrier's been down. And
you are a spanner capita. Honestly.
My husband once, right, he was in France with my stepdad.
Here we go.
And they parked in what they thought just looked like, you know, if you go to a car park where there's, say, 30 spaces, but there's no other cars there, they parked in there without reading any signs. Or maybe they did, but they were in French, yeah. And then they went away, done whatever.
They read the sign, but it was in French.
I don't know. They came back, and it was actually a marketplace.
Oh, I've actually done that somewhere.
But so all the market stores,
and all the stores are around you. Yeah, I did that one time. Yeah. And of course, like on the continent, they're not going to take any prisoners.
No, they left them there. They couldn't get out
I
until the
think it
market was
happened to
over.
me in Carnarvon, actually. No, Bakewell.
Really?
In the Peak District.
Oh,
no,
that was
what is it?
bad.
Some district, I don't know.
They couldn't get out. But anyway.
I always get these districts muddled up, the lake and the peak.
Well, how can you get them muddled up?
I don't know, 4-letter words. I have a problem with 4-letter words.
Okay, anyway, we're at Warwick Castle right now,
We are.
after a day at BBC Gardens Wildlife.
It was my first day. It's Ellen's 409th.
Third, actually.
How's it going there, Ella Mary?
Really good, thank you.
You're the big boss of something. I don't know what, but something.
I'm the big boss. I'm hosting the Houseplant Hub. And so this is the end of the third day. And it's been really good fun.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Cool.
I feel like I know so much more about houseplants.
Yeah? That's cool. Who
genuinely.
you had?
I've had Francis Tophill.
Yeah?
I've had Joe Bagley, who's ace.
Ah, he's so cool.
Yeah, you can look him up.
I didn't know he's into classic cars.
He has a convertible
I think we should be friends.
205, like what I had when I was, 18 or 19.
Yeah.
Proper
Have you seen it
retro.
then, or what?
Well, it's just photographs.
Uh-huh.
But he said he's going to show it to me tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
So I can rub my hand along the
That's
sides
really
of
cute.
it.
He's such a cool guy.
He is great. So that's UK House Plants. You can check him out. We have the Plant Clinic. So that's Good Growing, Soil Ninja, Liquid Gold, and the Plant Rescuer.
It's all four?
All four.
How does that work
They,
then?
they swap and change. So
Do people bring
2 or 3
dead
might
plants?
come on at a time and vice versa.
Oh.
That's nice. We had Tony LeBritton from Not Another Jungle on as well. Ben Newell, Worcester Terrariums.
He's a hunk.
Demo today. He's a hunk. Tony LeBritton's aftershave has got right up my nose, and now I can't
You've
breathe.
been allergic for the rest of the day.
I need like a hay fever tablet or something. All in all, it's been really, really amazing.
You're too cute. Wonderful.
What have you been doing?
Well, I was
today?
just afloat since 8 a.m. because I was I was so excited about getting to Gardeners World Live. I couldn't sleep anymore. I really wanted to go early. And I was like, oh, well, I hope I get in on my exhibitor ticket at 8 a.m. And thankfully I did, so that was cool. And just had a really good look around and saw like the Borders, green-fingered city boy.
Yeah.
He's such a nice guy as well, honestly. And Laura MacArthur, do you know her? She's got her border at the back of the Borders. Ben Thornton, do you know this guy, the young grower?
Young grower, yeah.
Yeah, really cool guy.
Chatted with him, he's great.
Visited his garden as well.
His story is amazing as well.
I know, really cool. He had some particularly nice double freesias in his Borders.
There you go.
I had a little look. I haven't really looked in the floral market extensively, even though I've been walking up and down there a few times.
You haven't looked in the floral market?
Oh, I don't know. I like to really...
Every single time I've seen you, you've been in the floral market.
I know, but you get waylaid. Do you know what I mean? Or something happens, you see someone, you do something.
Okay.
Sorry, that's my giggling squid. Come back up. But it's really cool. And doing a Weird and Wacky Plants show with Nikki Chapman on this afternoon, on this Saturday, and also tomorrow on Sunday as well. And that was cool. We've really run out of time. The slots are only half an hour.
Yeah.
And I can talk a lot longer than that.
They do go really, really quickly.
But we had people coming over to try the Miracle Berry at the British Garden Centre stand afterwards. And I was like really excited and amazed at how many people came.
That's so
good. It was so cool.
Why wouldn't you want to try a Miracle Berry?
I don't know. I just work on the fact that nobody will ever turn up to anything. And then, of course, when people turn up, it's always good. I don't know.
Why do you think they will turn up? Of course they will turn up.
I don't know, because it's always like the strike rate of people actually being interested in the thing you're talking about it doesn't necessarily follow through. Do you know what I mean?
Well, it kind of does.
I don't know.
Has there been a standout plant in the floral market that you've gone, oh yes?
Yeah, that bloody, I won't swear now, so sorry. Bloody Petunia Nicola, did you see it?
Was that on the hot?
Yeah, with the pink and the white. It looks like there are Nicotianas like that with that colour blend, albeit not with double flowers. But oh my god, that's really standout, honestly. And that rose that won the award is pretty nice as well.
The Peter Seabrook one.
Yeah, like a double persica type from Chris. Oh damn it. Chris Warner,
right?
Who and it's been brought through Wharton's nurseries, so really that was pretty cool.
Mine is the blue sweet pea.
Oh my god, yeah, blue shift.
Blue shift, that's.
But I've known this variety for a few years. I've never seen it looking so.
It's blue.
Big or so beautiful in colour.
Big, long, tall, thick stems, blue colour.
I have to Google this because
white.
Blue shift has always been like a much smaller flowered one in the past, I'm sure.
Well, whatever.
But it's really,
it is as blue as it gets.
It is gorgeous with bells on.
Really really stunning. And there was actually also a pink that I was really surprised at.
Yeah, so sweet pea.
No, I went over
pink.
Over to the pink stand.
Yeah.
And there was one. I'm going to have to look this up on my phone now. Excuse me.
That's a cool charger you got there.
Carry on talking.
Squirrel.
Just carry on talking amongst yourselves.
How's that charger work? It was very discreet.
You put it into the button. Here, this
little tampon.
Look at this. Isn't that beautiful? I can't remember what name it is now. It's like a...
If we were in Japan, that would be blue, but it's not legal here.
No, it's definitely not blue. Here, it's called Mustang. Isn't that lovely? I really liked that.
G&K carnations.
Yeah.
Well, show me more pictures.
You want me to go through my pictures?
Yeah, get in.
I don't really know how many more I took, to be honest.
Oh, there's you in the mirror? After a bath?
No, there isn't. That's such a lie.
There's you, what, having a bra fit?
Isn't it beautiful? You're so rude.
What? I don't think you need to get it well fitted.
Look at this beautiful hostin.
What's the name of that? Zoom in.
I can't see.
Flip to the floor.
Your finger's in the way.
I can't see. It's on an angle.
Anyway, you can go.
Go back, but.
Oh, here we go.
That is. It's really unique as well.
Isn't
actually.
It beautiful? So there's some lovely new hostas in.
We're trying to zoom a video as the video's playing. It's like the most carnage you've ever seen.
Actually, to be fair, you are, not me.
Streptocarpus.
What about the gardens?
What are those chips all about?
Oh, that was for my reel yesterday.
Is that a protest? This is all I could eat.
No, I enjoyed
I went to a flower show, all I ate was chips.
I was happy to eat chips.
Oh, okay,
Very.
cool. Well, you were very happy tonight to have a giggling squid tie.
3 courses.
I saw.
Starter, main and dessert.
Yeah, exactly.
Somebody didn't eat very well the last few days. This is She Grows Veg Show Garden.
I went on there at 8 a.m.
All edibles, really loads of
early
lovely, beautiful
access.
colours, and she grew them all herself. That's pretty cool, right?
Beaut.
I liked that a
Black
lot.
tomatoes all up the trellis.
Yeah.
That's cool. Is that a bath you can get in?
So this is the bath on the menopause garden, which won Best in Show and Platinum. It is really, really good. It's a beautiful garden, and I would happily take a dip in that bath.
I will.
I loved all the different areas that they had in there as well. So that was really nice.
I'll have to get involved.
What about Lily Matthews' one? We just saw that on our way out, didn't we?
Oh, yeah. Oh, did you not take any picture?
Yeah, I took loads of pictures.
Where
Here.
is it? Ah,
There you go, here's a video. So it takes you through the
I was on
seasons.
there with 2 Minute Gardener.
Oh, were you?
Oh, God, I'm so tired. Just came over.
Are we going to just stop talking now then? If you
Oh, no, carry on.
Oh, I'm actually going to go and blow my nose, so carry on.
Okay, where you going to go? Just going to blow it under a yew tree.
No, because I don't
Some,
want to blow it
some
into
sort of
the
ritual. Did you see that crystal shop there today?
opposite
With the
the steps.
Tradescantias? Yeah. That was cool. Because there's a really excellent houseplant hub there as well.
Yeah.
Really, really. Not just your stage. Obviously, that was great, of course. But I mean all the stands selling the houseplants.
Houseplant Village.
That was really nicely curated, I have to say.
So
I'd like to have seen it nearer the door.
Well, I mean,
Do you know what I mean?
But it had to be near the
Oh,
house.
because the stage needs to be near the sides, doesn't it, a bit? Yeah.
On the in the house
Yeah.
plant village, there's mint plants, and Hayley came to do a talk.
I
on
think the
stage.
one's from Altrincham. Because I think I stalked their shop the other week. No?
No, I don't think. She's
Oh,
in
maybe
London.
not.
Anyway, they have. They call themselves a plant adoption shop, and they basically bring in plants from collections from
Oh,
people
is
who
this the one
can't.
you said about in the car? Oh, live sneezing. You can't make that sort of stuff up.
People who've maybe been collecting cacti and succulents forever, and now they can't look after them anymore for one reason or another. So they're like adopt them.
Mint plants. Oh, she's sneezing again. And there's me having to carry the
Honestly,
conversation.
there was something that's really got up my nose.
I think it's Tony.
And some of them, not at all. Some of those plants are 50 or 60 years old.
Uh-huh.
Amazing, and they have the original labels in them.
Oh, my God. Ding to the dog. That's cool. You're allergic to his
There
aftershave.
is honestly something that's mega cool.
I have barely worn any today.
No, it's not you.
It must be Tony's aftershave.
It only started when Tony came on the stage.
Was
with
it
his aftershave.
Penhaligon's?
Oh, crap.
Oh, and now there's a peacock. Jeez.
Where's the peacock?
Ellen's in sensory overload now, honestly. All that and pink trousers. You can imagine the sight. Was it Penhaligon's?
No.
Really concentrate when I'm trying to chat to you. Oh, now she's blowing her nose, honestly. This is carnage. I can't even describe it. I have to say, your pink trousers are dragging on the floor.
No, it's because I've like...
I'm such a mother sometimes.
Why aren't you wearing a coat? It's
Oh,
cold
dear.
outside.
Oh, that's like when someone gets new clothes and it's like, oh, that'll wash up nice. Oh, dear.
Anyway, I'm really sorry about that short interlude to blow my nose.
Don't worry, I get people entertained. That's cool. Oh, Enna.
Anyway,
Enna.
we like BBC Garden
Enya. I
Wildlife.
think you should change your name to Enya.
I know, thank you. I'm good with Ellen. Although I will just say, when I got to the hotel,
Yeah.
the lady said to me, "What's the name?" And I said, "Ella Mary."
Yeah.
Got over to there, like there were kind of the keys were already laid out for BBC Garden Wild people, and I couldn't see Ella Mary, but there was Ellen. And she went, "Oh, you're Ellen." I said, "Yeah." She said, "But you're Ella Mary." I was like, "Yeah, no, but Ellen's fine. That's fine." She said, "So what's your name then?" I was like, "Ellen Mary or Ellen, either way." She's like, "Well, what's your surname?" "Mary." I was like, "No, my surname's Webster." She's like, "So is your name Mary or Ellen?" I was like, "Oh my gosh, it's just Ellen. Ellen will do. Ellen is fine."
So funny, honestly. Somebody's so linear with this name, aren't they?
I know, it's like,
Oh
Ellen
my
is just
God.
great, thank you.
Oh.
Anyway.
First episode of the new series, Barbican interview with
Yeah.
Marta, which
Yeah.
was really, really interesting. I've since been there and salivated all over the concrete.
Nice. Did you leave it?
Had
Did
a
you
lovely
leave a
tour.
trace?
Have you been there to the conservatory?
Do you know what, years ago?
Yeah?
Years
Uh-huh.
ago. And
when it was first built in the 60s.
Pre-COVID, no, years ago.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
She was ace to chat to, actually. It's amazing, to create a space like that in...
Yeah, and such an iconic space as well, to be able to garden in that area as well. Because I've got my eye on Embassy Gardens.
Okay.
I want to interview the horticulturist there. No, this is a solo one. You're not coming.
Well, no, that's fine. It's on the podcast, so I don't really mind either way.
Oh, because I hope to get in that pool.
I'm not precious.
You know this pool, right?
The one up high, where you can see people swimming.
Yeah. Oh my God, you can see through your feet and see
You can see through your feet.
the world below. Yeah, because there's a glass
Oh, I
bottom.
thought you meant like you see through your feet.
It's really weird, yeah.
Yeah, that would be cool. But we've got some great new contributors as well.
Oh, haven't we
this
just?
series,
Tell us who they are,
So
Melon.
starting off, we've got Skinny Jean Gardner talking about gardening with kids.
He's a classic.
He's a
Isn't he?
classic.
He's a
yeah.
classic.
He is great.
Max Restore.
Max McMurdo from Restore, so talking about DIY in the garden, so
Oh,
how
yes.
you can upcycle pallet planters, that kind of thing. We've got UFlow,
Oh,
Who is
yeah.
Ace?
Flower crown.
who creates the amazing flower crowns. And we've got Pond Dipper, so Michael Holland, who's going to be
very
giving
cool.
us his species of the month.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Cool. He's written a great children's book, hasn't he?
He has. He's
As well. He's got another
absolutely
book just come
lovely.
out, hasn't
Yeah, he's just released another one as well.
What's that one about?
So probably the same for children. He writes a lot for children.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. He's ace, and he used to be head gardener at Chelsea Physic Garden.
Lovely hair.
He is wonderful. So yeah,
Cool.
it's going to be a great series.
And our sponsor will be your People Plants Wellbeing.
People Plants Wellbeing.
Because you were in the Telegraph.
In the Guardian.
Guardian.
Yeah. So they were running a feature where they were putting the phone in my face. They were running a feature about the best UK retreats, and a few people who'd been on the retreat wrote in and kind of reviewed it, and we got in the top 5.
How lovely.
In the Guardian, which is amazing. So yeah, keep on listening to the podcast because we'll give you more information about it.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
Oh my
really
God.
excited about what's coming up for that.
But next year, so you've already booked for April.
So the
But surely you want one every month,
the
because
Wild
now
Wellbeing
everyone's
Retreat.
going to be popping off.
Wild Wellbeing Retreat is booked for next April, but we've got Wild Wellbeing Days booked for September as well. And you can find it
This
on
year?
our website this year. Yeah.
But next year you should get May booked in. June?
Maybe.
July?
No, maybe.
This is a big time, Ellen.
Possibly.
Sorry, I'm so pushy.
This is a lot. This is a lot. There's a lot
Honestly.
to do and a lot, but it's all coming. So yeah, it's really exciting.
You need to recruit an admin role.
I need to recruit someone to help me out. I can't do it on my own. That's for sure.
An admin role or a bread roll? I'm so not funny, honestly.
So rubbish.
So not
We were
funny.
saying earlier on how Michael was joking that I kind of predict the end of people's sentences.
Yeah,
So,
she's always answering the next question that hasn't even been thought of yet.
But, and I tried
In a conversation.
I just reminded you that you always end every sentence with some kind of obscure or possibly obscene or offensive couple of words.
Obscure fella.
Obscure filler. Like you have to end the sentence by saying something really
Ding
odd.
to the dong.
There you go.
Just like
that.
Oh, honestly, Ellen. Well, I've got Glee coming up a couple of weeks. National Plant Show next week, which is cool. I'm being a judge, so grown-up work there.
Yeah.
And then Glee, I've got the Future Plants as well. Putting a lovely display together. Just come back for the flower trials, seeing lots of new plants in
Busy.
Holland, etc., which was awesome. You've just unboxed some gorgeous calanchoe, which we'll put onto the
I genuinely
stories as well.
didn't realise what was in that box. I had no idea.
What do you think it was? Do you think it would be
Well, when I opened it, I could see
Purple
it was
rabbit or
calanchoe,
something?
but it looked like there were 2 different calanchoes. I had no idea they were cut flowers. So it wasn't until I pulled it out and could see how long it was, how long the
Flippin'
stems were, that I realised that they were cut flowers. And they're beautiful.
Ooh, flip to the flop. That's another one.
There you go.
Ding to the dong, flip to the flop. I'm just a parody.
To be fair, on here you are saying all the nice versions of what you usually say.
True.
But when you're not recording, it's generally quite offensive.
Just as a final note, look at my Muckster lights.
They're lovely. I've got
They're
the
gorgeous.
flower ones. You've got the
Yeah.
green ones, and I've got the flower ones.
But-
You're wearing them to walk around in general.
I'm wearing these as fashion.
There you go, because they're that comfortable.
Do you think they look fashionable? But I do think, Ellen, right, look at me standing up, ready? Because this outfit I got on, it actually manages to make me look short.
Yeah, it really does.
Isn't that weird? I saw myself in a picture the other day. I was like, I look like I'm 5'2". So weird.
Oh, yeah.
Is that weird? Because the trousers are kind of wide, the shirt is wide, and the flops are low.
Low
But
and
yeah,
wide.
so I look. Oh, look at those pigeons! they're necking. Oh, God. No, not in a good way, is it?
No, yeah, they're a pair, look.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're
my God.
kissing. Oh,
Is that kissing?
Oh, yeah, they're in love.
Looks painful. I think they're feeding each other, aren't they?
They're in love. That's so cute.
Oh, I don't know what way to look.
I have pigeons nesting in an apple tree.
There's a woman in medieval clothing behind me.
Okay, let's go.
Well, this is the way out. You have to walk past the woman in medieval clothing.
Come on then, let's go.
There's so much happening in one place.
Welcome to Series 12 of the podcast.
Look, it's podcast. Castle. Yes, indeed. So, oh God, it's all popping off. We got peacocks, we got pigeons kissing, we got me looking 2 foot shorter than normal, and medieval people walking through the place. So we might just leave you there. But I hope you really enjoy our new series of the podcast. Say goodbye, Ellen.
Goodbye, everyone.
See ya.
Series 12 of the Plant-Based Podcast is sponsored by People Plants Wellbeing, the nature-based wellness studio where you can find your magic through the power of plants and nature. Take 10% off all services, treatments and retreats with our exclusive discount code for you, our podcast listeners. Use code PBP Series 12 via the website or when you contact the team to book. Next wellness days are coming up soon. Find out more and book your place at peopleplantswellbeing.com or on Instagram at peopleplantswellbeing.
The music for the Plant-Based Podcast is part of the song Grow by Mikey James, and our editor is Gareth Patch of Semi Echo.